This is Adam Watson.
And Robert Diaz.
You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. So this is going to be our first episode in 2018. We're going to use the opportunity to take a look back at 2017, see what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we can do better as we move forward into 2018. If you listen to the episodes in December, they recapped the conventions we did and how I felt that we did on those. The basic consensus, or at least my thoughts, are that I need to return to doing more creator type conventions, or at least conventions that have more artist alley type spots, things of that nature. So as we move into 2018, expect some announcements on upcoming conventions that we're going to be doing that are geared more towards getting things out there as Darkslinger Comics, as opposed to what we've been doing, which are more dealer-oriented shows. So first, let's talk about the products that I got out in 2018. When I started out in 2017, the two comics that I had a goal to get going again, more than any of my other books, were Ghost Assassin and El Bovine Muerte. El Bovine Muerte, I feel that I've actually accomplished quite a bit with. I have done, the St. Patrick's Day pinup, an Independence Day pinup, two pinups that weren't related to holidays, a Yule pinup, the 7-page pro-smoking commercial, and am I missing anything? Oh, a Halloween pinup and a Thanksgiving pinup. It's not quite on a regular schedule again, like I had hoped for, but I did start working this year with Gabriel Schiavone to do the artwork on El Bovine Muerte. He didn't do all the pinups that were posted this year, but he did do the Independence Day, the 7-page pro-smoking commercial, the Thanksgiving and Halloween images. I liked working with him enough to offer him the ongoing series. So he's currently hard at work on issue number 4. I actually just spoke to him yesterday, and he's working away on the pages. So 2018 is going to see issue number 4 released. And one of the big goals there was just trying to find somebody who I liked working with, that I liked the artwork for El Bovine Muerte, because as I previously mentioned on the podcast, Paul Johnson, the regular artist on El Bovine Muerte, has other commitments and wasn't able to work on this big of a series this year. So I needed to find somebody new. So I started working with Gabriel. That's worked out pretty well.
You found a bang-up artist.
Yeah, he's great.
Real good.
Yeah. He draws a really, really good Le Mime, really good Muerte. Everything about working with him is great. I'm probably going to be looking for a few pinup artists for 2018 to fill in on some holidays here and there, or just a pinup here or there to kind of give some leeway so that if extra time is needed, from the time it takes to complete issue number 4 to the time that it takes to start issue number 5, I have some time there. I may in fact even do like some 4 to 7 page shorts that I get other artists for, just so that I make sure that I don't fall behind on the webcomic again. But all in all, I feel like getting El Bovine Muerte up and going again has been more successful than not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's come a long way in the year, I think. And that new artist, fantastic.
Yeah, I looked through a lot of artist submissions before I came across his.
He was a great find.
And it was down to him and one other artist. And I asked them both if they could please send me a sample of what Le Mime looked. Just a quick drawing of what Le Mime looked with them drawing him. And he sent me something where he was holding his hands up in a miming position with a lot of expression in the face. And I was like, okay, you're perfect. You're hired. I definitely think he's a perfect fit for that. So some of the goals that were related to getting El Bovine Muerte up and going can't start until 2018 because I have just started working with him. I started working with him on the Independence Day pinup. So started working with him around July. It's going to take some time. And he did the 7-page story. When did that run? Did that run in September, I believe? I believe it was August, September that ran for. 7 pages was almost 2 months worth of content. So I think if I recall correctly, it was August and September that
my time frame's always off.
Yeah, it's fine. So in any case, it's going to take a little bit of time to get the El Bovine Muerte Patreon going, things of that nature. But one of the goals related to getting it back up and going as a webcomic was getting physically printed editions out there. I wanted to print up short run copies of issue number 1, the half issue 2 and 3, which are the issues that are already done, completed, and have been up on the website for years now at this point. So I'm going to say March or April, I did a Kickstarter that was for the printing of issue number 1. That successfully completed. So issue number 1's now in print. I would still like to get the half issue number 2 and 3 into print in 2018. And hopefully towards the end of the year, get the first trade paperback completed for that as well. But at the moment, I'm going to say El Bovine Muerte was successful in 2017. I accomplished what I wanted to.
I think so. He's come a long way. I think you've gotten a lot done with him in this whole year. Definitely more so than the previous year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Where there was
improvement.
nothing accomplished other than me writing the scripts.
Yes.
Yeah. So, on the Ghost Assassin side, I have not yet been able to launch the Kickstarter for it. It's not quite a failure, though, because I do have the Kickstarter mostly complete. And Kickstarter recently sent me an invite to once again participate in the Make 100 program.
I saw an email for that.
Yeah, so I was thinking about all the different incentives that I've come up with for Ghost Assassin. And I've decided that I want to do the Make 100 event a part of the Ghost Assassin Kickstarter. And to that end, I'm going to cap the black and white original art versions of issue number 1 through 3 at 100 incentives, or whatever you want to call that.
When are those launching, the 100s? Is there a time
Anytime
frame?
in January.
Okay.
You just have to launch in January to be a part of it.
I didn't actually read the email. I just saw it on the push notifications.
I've got a lot accomplished with Ghost Assassin. I had CC color the covers for issue number 1 and 3. The cover for issue number 2 has been colored for quite a while. She got both of those colored. I've been in contact with Joel, and he's still interested in working on the book. I've got multiple issues fleshed out in script format that I thought were complete until I took a second look at them, and then decided that they need to be revised or rewritten in parts. So I've got a lot of that done, and I've got quite a bit done for the Kickstarter at this point.
For the big Kickstarter or the 100 Kickstarter?
The Make 100 doesn't have to be a small Kickstarter. You can actually do a larger Kickstarter that just has one of the tiers capped at 100 and still be a part of it. So Make 100 will be a part of our Ghost Assassin Kickstarter. If all goes well, will be a part of the Make 100 Kickstarter.
Oh, I thought you were going to have 2 different Kickstarters.
No, it's going to be one.
Oh, okay.
So, to that end, what I still have to complete for the Kickstarter is just finalizing which images I want to use in the Kickstarter. Recording the video. That's still something I need to do. And finish the pricing. I'm currently in communication with about 12 different printers. I'm just kind of seeing who's going to give me the best price, best quality, all that kind of stuff before I decide on it.
Normal business stuff.
Completely normal business stuff, but stuff you have to know before you start up a Kickstarter.
Yeah, you don't want to go in without knowing what you're paying.
No, not at all. And I actually see a surprising amount of people who've done that very thing.
Yeah, it's a bad problem.
It is. But I've been shocked when I've talked to some of my friends and found out that they just completely guessed. They didn't do any actual math in their Kickstarters. They literally just guessed. And that's not a good thing. That is a very bad business plan. With any bit of luck, Ghost Assassin will be launching on Kickstarter in 2018. I do wish that I had been able to get it all done in 2017. Just didn't happen this time around. But I do believe it's going to in 2018. So, while it's not a complete success, I also wouldn't consider it a complete failure.
It's progress.
It's very much. It's a lot of progress, actually. A lot of progress.
Good.
The other items I managed to get out, it was not my goal to actually release anything for Chronicles of Von Helsing this year. I have issues number 1 through 5 completed in print, have been in print for a while, and those comprise the first volume of that story. I have the Sally Mini done. So I had decided to take a break from Chronicles Von Helsing in 2017 so that I could better focus on Ghost Assassin El Bovine Muerte. But when the Make 100 event came up in 2017, I saw an opportunity to put out a product that I had had in mind for quite some time, which was the Chronicles Von Helsing Pounder Glass, I think is what those are called, right? It's sold on the website that I got. It's a pint glass, yeah. It's sold as a mixing glass, but I think it's a pint glass, actually.
I guess whatever you want to call it. Right. It's just a glass.
Right, it's just a glass.
You want to call it something.
So anyway, I saw an opportunity to do those. Got to produce it. This is the second time I did something on glass. The first was the Who Will Save the World shot glasses. I saw an opportunity to release a new product. Chronicles Von Helsing made sense. Have more issues of that out than anything else. I don't know that I'd say the following for it is bigger than any of my other titles, but it was something that was basically ready-made to just go on a glass.
Yeah, the artwork really fit well for that.
Yeah, and when Tony had given me the original file, he had delivered one that was black and white with no colors, and when I looked at it, it fit perfectly on this glass. There was absolutely nothing that needed to be done to the artwork to make it transfer over to that. So when I got that printed, I also got a nice little surprise because I got a message one morning on Facebook from the girl who worked at the printing facility that was manufacturing those, that was completely excited because turns out she's a fan of Chronicles Von Helsing.
That's so random.
Yeah. But she couldn't have been more excited about it. She said it was her absolute favorite thing that she had ever worked on since working there.
That's crazy. That just happened.
Right?
That's so weird.
Yeah, but it was pretty awesome because how often does someone manufacture something of yours and you find out they're a fan of yours?
You wouldn't really ever expect it.
Right. It's a little added just cool factor because she's in Florida. And I think of most of my fans being West Coast, because that's pretty primarily local. Where we do things is, West Coast conventions. So to find out that she knew about Chronicles Von Helsing and lived in Florida, that was pretty cool too.
Shows how far some of us made it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I didn't ask her how she found out about it. Could have been it could have been ebook versions, could have been something she bought on eBay. Who knows? Comes down to it, it doesn't matter. What matters is that
it got there.
Yeah, it got there, and it turns out she was a fan. That's pretty awesome.
That is.
So, even though it wasn't a goal of mine to get the Chronicles glass out in 2017, I'd still say it's quite an accomplishment that I did.
I'm happy with mine.
And as an added bonus from getting those glasses out, managed to get those glasses into quite a few local bars. And got the Who Will Save the World shot glasses into the local liquor store. I've always had in mind various ways of moving my characters and properties beyond just comic shops. I think that if we just keep playing to that same market, there's no room to grow comics. You got to, get the stuff out there and seeing in more ways than that. So the fact that I was able to get it in the liquor store and bars of all places, I thought was pretty awesome. I honestly never thought of those as being potential venues for my stuff. So
I like the idea.
I can't take the credit for having them be put in bars in the liquor store. That was all someone else's doing. I'm extremely grateful that they brought the idea up to me.
I'm glad that we put stuff on glass.
Mm-hmm.
The glass was a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty fantastic. And so I'm now planning on doing a whole line of Chronicles Von Helsing glasses. I want there to be probably around 12 of them in total. And I'm thinking, at the moment, my current plan is releasing one a year, but I might step it up to more than that depending on how well they start doing. So
just pint glasses? Would you go back to shot glasses?
Oh, I would definitely love to do shot glasses again. When Ghost Assassin Noir starts coming out, I want to do a line of Ghost Assassin Noir shot glasses.
Yeah, when we were first looking at the shot glasses, we had thought about Chronicles, hadn't we? Mm-hmm. But that image wouldn't fit.
Yeah, it was actually exactly what that was. Is that we had laid that image over the shot glass and it was simplistically too tall for it. Yeah. But it fits absolutely perfectly on a pint glass.
You wouldn't have gotten any good detail in it anyways.
No, you definitely wouldn't have.
Who Will Save the World shot glasses, though, turned out well.
They did. Yeah, they did. There's been a lot of positive response from those. They've actually had better sales through at the liquor store than what they ever have for me at the conventions or on my website.
Nice.
So, which makes sense because you put something where it naturally belongs. It's
People
going to
see
sell.
it, they're like, "Oh, hey, an exploded zombie face."
Exactly,
Like,
right.
okay, I'll take that.
And they've been selling it at the liquor store as the shit face shot glass.
Oh, that's a good
So,
market.
yeah, it works well that way too.
Yeah, hadn't even thought of that.
So, I did get out one more product this year. It's ebook only at the moment. I am going to be releasing physical editions in the coming weeks. But I have been sitting on a pinup book of Stefano's for about the last 7 years, I believe. It's called Astro Zombies, Vampires, and Donuts. It was originally going to come out in 2011, but we had pushed it back in order to release Who Will Save the World. And Who Will Save the World on Kickstarter was a bit of a fiasco, to say the least.
There's a story there.
Yeah, that's a big story for another podcast. But anyway, it was quite the fiasco in completing, and so Astro Zombies, Vampires, and Donuts have been pushed back a considerable amount. But I was looking through everything, and it decided, it's finally time to get this out there in some fashion. And I like the idea of putting it together as an ebook because I really wanted to give the Who Will Save the World backers something. They were extraordinarily patient when we were finishing that Kickstarter. And I wanted to give them something as a little Christmas gift this year. So I put it together as an ebook and posted a backers only update so that anybody who backed the Who Will Save the World Kickstarter could download that ebook completely for free. I just got that out, I think 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve is when I was able to do it. It took some time to assemble it and all that, That's now for sale on the website, Drive Through Comics, and I'm putting it in a few more digital venues in the coming weeks, as well as doing a print run of it in 2018. So anyway, I had hoped to release more in 2017. But on the other hand, I released one product in 2016, one product in 2014, so getting 3 things out this year, plus a pro smoking commercial through El Bovine Muerte, which isn't something physical or something anybody can pay for in any regard, this is just a free to read webcomic. I still think that I can count that. So I count it as having 4 things out this year. I'll take that over what it's been like the previous couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm well on my way to getting a lot more done in 2018. While I only planned on working on Ghost Assassin and El Bovine Muerte this year, I came across an artist that I had to work with. So Principalities is still probably at least a year away from seeing the release of the first issue. But I got a submission from a new artist, or new to me at least, earlier this year, and knew I instantly had to work with her. So to that end, I've had 6 new covers for Principalities illustrated this year, which you've seen some of.
Yeah, she's very, very talented.
Oh, they're phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I don't regret that decision whatsoever. I mean, it's jumping the gun a little bit, because it is going to be a while before Principality sees print. But I'll have these absolutely amazing, beautiful covers ready for it when it's ready to go. And
that'll look good.
They're just so fantastic. And, I'll have more on that in a later episode. I don't want to talk too much about that one. And another thing I can't talk too much about, but it is an accomplishment in 2017, is Marco and I have started production on Diary of a Dead Man #2. I will not release Diary of a Dead Man issue #1 until I have at least half of the series done.
I haven't even seen any of it. I've seen that one picture.
You'll see more.
And that's it.
But I want 3 out of the 6 issues to be fully 100% complete before I release first issue. I don't want it to be a thing where I release it and then it's plagued by any sort of delays. So once 3 issues are completed, I'm going to be releasing the first issue. But until then, all I can say is we've started working on it again, and the pages that Marco's done thus far look amazing. So another accomplishment that I did do is one of the important things to me every year is getting a Christmas card done. I have done Christmas cards every year from 2007 until now. There were 2 years that I missed, 2014 and 2015. I simplistically did not have the money to hire an artist to that during those years to do one, and even if I did, I wouldn't have had the money to print up the card. But 2016 and 17 started picking up for me financially again, so I had the money to do it. So this year, Marco Roblin, who's the artist of the upcoming Diary of a Dead Man series, illustrated an image of Sally from Chronicles von Helsing with Mr. Muffkins opening up a Christmas gift that has a brand new teddy bear in it, and the box says "Parts for Mr. Muffkins, love Santa." And that was something I got to do. And normally I just do postcards for the holiday card, but this year I actually did 2 different versions. I did the postcard, and then I did a really short run of actual greeting cards and gave those out to the people who have backed more than one Kickstarter, the retailers that have supported me, and my con helpers. So you are one of the only people who got one of the actual greeting cards.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
It is, and just think, if I get famous, you'll be able to sell that for a lot.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Sell everything you ever gave me.
So is there anything you'd like to say or add about what I accomplished or didn't in terms of releases and getting started on projects, that kind of stuff?
You're making progress. A lot more progress than the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good. It's nice to finally see some stuff coming out. You got it all laid out. It's more physical than in your mind now.
Yeah.
Now everybody has something new to look at.
Yeah. That's a good thing when I do cons.
And I don't know if it's just because your hair is growing out, but it looks like all this work is making you grayer.
I've been gray since I was 24. I just never let my hair get long enough.
It's getting worse.
But at the moment, I've been so busy with all these podcasts, all the editing of podcasts, the comics I'm putting out, all that. I decided I'm not shaving my head or face unless I'm at a con. When I got to go to a con, I'll look presentable. If I'm just around the house, I'm gonna look like this.
Gonna look like a bum. Hey, I always look like a bum. Look like a bum right now.
Yeah, well, I might have to shave though, because now that I have a full face beard, my face is extremely itchy.
Mine.
I do not notice any itchy factor from my goatee, despite the fact that it's 3 times the length of my beard. But the goatee I've had since I was 17. So.
Oh, my facial hair is really annoying right now.
Is it? Mine is too. So annoying. I'm kind of waiting to see, though, if I get past the annoying stage or if I just end up shaving it first.
Just keep it going. Get a big old beard.
Like a really big one?
Yeah.
That could be my con look for 2018.
Yeah.
Maybe.
With some braids going in it.
Oh, another physical product that I got out this year is I had been wanting to experiment more with trading cards. And I wanted to print them up for individual shows that we were doing. I only managed to produce one, which was an El Bovine Morte image that Paul had done, I'm going to say in 2009, that was a crossover with Ben's characters, where Le Mime was being made into Frankenstein. That seemed pretty perfect to do for the Frankenstein show. But I think I way overestimated the amount of individual customers you sell to at a dealer show. It seems like you have a lot more because, when you do things as a creator, you walk away with a couple $100 in your pocket, whatever, right? But you do like a dealer show, you can do 5 to 6 times that amount because of, one person buys 60 or 70 items versus like 1 or 2, right?
Yeah.
But just because there's more money doesn't mean there's more customers. So to that end, I'm revising my, what I'll just call trading card program for 2018. I'm going to be producing more trading cards in 2018, but what I'm going to do is when I have a whole month worth of shows planned out, I'm going to go ahead and do a trading card image for that month and then put on the back all of the shows I'll be at that month. And not only will we give those out at shows, but I'm also going to be sending them out with orders that I get online so that, people can have that cool little collectible. And if they happen to be at that show, they'll know we're there. They can come find us.
It's a neat idea.
Yeah, I think so too. And it'll either work or it won't, But the reality is,
that's everything.
It is everything, but there's also the reality that I can get a couple of hundred trading cards printed up for less than $20. So it's a pretty cheap marketing material,
Yeah, it is.
So one of the other things that I wanted to do while we're on the topic of marketing materials is I've had in mind for the last couple of years doing something more with the paper dolls. If you've ever seen me at cons, then you may know that when I'm doing anything as a creator, I like to pass out paper dolls, or as Alex calls them, paper in action figures. In the past, we did these of Lay Mime, Todd from Ghost Assassin, Robert from Chronicles von Helsing, the Popper, and the Zombie from Who Will Save the World, which I have to say is my favorite in a lot of ways. He's just so cute with his little head blown off. But these were something I did marketing starting the same month we were doing the Who Will Save the World Kickstarter, so I'm going to say in 2011. I've given away thousands of these at conventions. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 to 8,000 of these. And I've actually seen a pretty good ROI. You know what that is, right?
Return on investment.
That's correct. So I think probably $400 to $500 worth of the backing on the Who Will Save the World Kickstarter potentially came from these paper dolls that I was giving away at the conventions and signings that I was at during that month. So I've had in mind to do more of these for quite some time, but I also had it in mind to start giving them away on the website as well as a freebie and put the time frame that they're going to be up there for so that people would know when they could come back to get a new one. So I hired Paul Johnson to draw up 6 new images. One of the new images have been made available through the website so far, and I re-released the Lame Mime paper doll first, which was one of the first 2 that I did. I did the Who Will Save the World Zombie and the Lame Mime one back in 2011 through conventions, but these have never been available online. So I put the Lame Mime one up as a totally free thing, kept it up there for 2 months, and then when it ran its course, I put up the General from El Bovine Muerte. The expiration date I set for that one is the end of this month. So as I'm doing the Ghost Assassin Kickstarter next, I'll be tossing 3 of these up there in January, which are going to be Todd, who's already been released as a free giveaway at conventions, David and Melissa, who are both brand new. In total, I have 6 of those, 5 of which at this point have never been seen, and I plan on contracting some artists to do some more of those because I'd like to give out at least 1 new of those every single month. So I was successful in that goal.
Getting quite a few goals knocked off.
At any point in time, I keep a running tab of 300 goals. And every time I knock a couple off, I like to put on like 5 or 6 more.
That would be more than 300 then.
Well, I at times get it knocked back down to 300, but...
Do you have it all written down on a list?
Yeah.
A scroll, maybe?
No, it's not a scroll. It's just a spiral notebook. I hate to disappoint you.
That's pretty lame.
It is pretty lame. So is there anything you have to add to that other than it's lame that I don't have a scroll?
No, it's just pretty lame that you don't have a scroll. Into 2018.
Mm-hmm.
This is less about business goals.
Okay.
More of a personal thing.
Okay.
What are you looking forward to reading 2018? What are your aims to read? I know you don't get a huge amount of time to do that.
Okay, so we're going to take a break from the business talk for a moment to talk about that.
Or we can do it later. You can edit it in to whatever part you want.
Okay, no, it's fine to talk about it right now. Breaks up just the pure business talk, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have, let's see, in 2018, I finally got the last two volumes of the Maximized hardcovers. I got those for Christmas. And I've had, for about a year now, I think, I've had volumes 1 through 4 and 7. And I didn't want to start reading it all until I had 5 and 6. I had read up to about issue number 6 when I was a kid, but as I didn't live close to a comic shop and they quit being carried on the newsstand after about that point, I couldn't find any of the issues past that point when I was a kid, right? So I'm going to be reading that. I actually started on that last night. That's pretty cool because I've been looking forward to reading that whole entire series for quite some time. The other thing is I have owned the Strangers in Paradise Omnibus for 2 years now and have not cracked it open yet. So I am hoping at some point, I was really hoping there would be snow on the ground and it would be this nice day where, I had snow on the ground. I don't know why, but, in my head, I just envisioned snow in my chair. I could sit down and read this monstrous collection. Have you ever seen the omnibus editions for Strangers in Paradise?
Yes, it's very big.
Yeah, it's massive, massive. I've read the first 3 volumes in trade paperback form, The Strangers in Paradise. And I guess the only reason I haven't actually started reading it yet is just because I know once I start, I'm going to want to finish, right? And it's this huge undertaking when you think about it. So I want to, at the very least, finish those 2. Read both of those series all the way through. I read a lot of business magazines and a lot of comic interview books, magazines, things of that nature.
Yeah, but those are boring. I'm talking about comics.
You're talking about
books.
Comics specifically.
Or
okay.
books.
Or books. Okay. So I definitely want to finish reading those 2. And I want to find all of the stuff for Scud, the Disposable Assassin, that was not put into print in the whole shebang omnibus edition. There are a few things that weren't printed in that, like Scud Tells from the Vending Machine and La Cosa Nostroid. I found all but one of the Tales from the Vending Machine, and I have one of the Drywalled and Oswalt Show, which is a 2-issue miniseries, and I have not yet been able to find any of the La Casa Nostroid, but as soon as I find those, I want to sit down and read all the supplemental comics, basically, to those. So that's definitely a reading goal for 2018. But that's contingent on me actually being able to find those.
Well, you have plenty of other stuff to keep you busy till then.
Oh, I have tons of stuff. That's part of the problem is every time we go to a convention, I end up buying like 30 to 40 more things.
It's too much.
It is. It's a lot of stuff. What about you? Do you have any reading goals for 2018?
In comic and book form, yeah, and audio book as well. Starting with comics, I need to finish reading Sandman, like what I have, because I haven't made it that far in it. Because I just fell asleep reading it.
There are also a lot of supplemental Sandman stories that I could recommend as well.
No, man, I got these already.
Okay.
I don't need more.
Well, there's one that's, it's based in the Sandman universe, but if you don't read any of the others, at least read this one, okay? So it's based in it in the same way that like Lucifer is based in the Sandman universe. And it's called The Girl Who Would Be Death. Definitely read that. It's 4-issue miniseries. Chances are at the cons that we're going to be at, you can find in all the issues in the 50-cent to $1 bin. I don't believe it's ever been reprinted in trade paperback or hardcover or anything like that. So you got to find them in individual issue, but it's not that hard to do.
All right, you'll have to hunt for that.
I'll hunt for them for you. So if I hunt them down, you read them.
Yeah, I can't go through bins that aren't organized.
Yeah, they are really, really good. I think you'd really like those.
I need to steal the second volume of Nailbiter from you because I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I would definitely like to read more of that.
I'd like to.
And the fact that it seems like it's based in Malala, where we live, just seems all the better.
Oh man, everyone's gonna know where we live.
Everyone already knows where we live.
Yeah, probably. I know there's a couple more things that oh yeah. Uh, Alex got 3 and 4 for Rat Queens. I
Oh,
want to continue on that, hoping
yeah, I haven't
that
read
it
that
gets
one
better.
since Volume 2 either.
Yeah, the only thing in Volume 2 I wasn't a fan of was the artist change there in the middle.
Yeah, the guy who was the artist on it, though, got arrested.
Yeah, there was some bad stuff going on there.
Yeah, something
but
about domestic violence.
yeah,
So,
that's no good.
no, definitely no good.
I got a fat stack of books that I need to read, but that'll just take forever
Yeah,
to get through. I'm
Yeah.
such a slow reader.
I guess the only two that I really have a goal for, there's going to be a lot of things I read just to read or, whatever. But the two things that are my goals are reading the entire Max series in the Strangers in Paradise Omnibus Edition.
I got audiobooks that I need to get through as well. But those aren't as hard because I can listen to those on the go.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm going through The Portrait of Dorian Gray right now, which is good.
Yeah.
And then there's like 3 others. I got the No Country for Old Men. Picked that one up and the Portrait of Dorian Gray for a few dollars on Thanksgiving, Black Friday. And a fantasy called Mistborn. It's the Mistborn series. That's good.
Uh-huh.
But comics-wise, the most thing I'm excited to read is Nailbiter.
Yeah, Nailbiter's good. I really like that one.
You never told me that you had the second one.
That was my bad. I'm sorry.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is. It's very enjoyable. I kind of feel like I should have went back and read the first volume before reading the second, though.
Oh, maybe I should do that.
Because there were some things that I had forgotten. Because the first volume is such a quick read that I read through it so quickly that I had forgotten some of the stuff. So when I started reading the second volume, I was like, maybe I should have went back and reread this.
You gotta slow down.
Yeah, I guess so. It's hard to slow down, though.
Gotta go fast.
Right? So, beyond and besides putting new stuff out and getting to work on things once again, 3 of my biggest goals going into 2017 were getting the website back up and running, handling my social media a little bit better, and getting a podcast going. So, on the website front, I didn't really revise any of the way it looked, but I started heavily updating it again and adding new content in, I'm going to say, March of 2017. And I actually managed to work on at least a little bit of it every single week after that point. So I'd say all in all, I was pretty successful on working on that. There are, of course, a lot of things I'd like to change or update, but the reality is I'm a comic creator. I'm not a website designer.
You're not a web creator?
I'm not a web creator. Until the day comes that I can actually afford to hire somebody to work on the website full time, it's going to be as good as I can possibly make it. You know what I mean?
That's good enough, right?
Yeah. Well, I personally think that my website functions better than a lot of the other comic websites that I see. And I don't have a bunch of annoying pop-ups or anything like that.
I hate pop-ups.
I do too.
There's
actually content on my website,
I use AdBlock on my web browser.
Yeah.
Whole lot of websites that I go to.
I'm going to call out Ben for a minute and just point out the fact that, Ben, your website is still one page.
You need a little bit more than one.
You do. Anyway, there's a lot that I want to do to the website in 2018. I want to add in a section for upcoming conventions. Things like that.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
People know where you're going.
There's a lot of things I want to add to it. I got started on character bios, and I probably shouldn't have published that yet because some of the pages are just like an image of the character with their name, and I'm like, yeah, that needs a lot of revision going in 2018. I also have, I'll just call them like title cards made for each one of the titles, but some of them are clickable to go to a landing page for that particular title, and then some of them aren't. So like Chronicles of Von Helsing, you click on it, it goes to a page that has all the issues, all the characters, a timeline for Chronicles Von Helsing, but you see the title card for Who Will Save the World, which is on the exact same page, and it's not even clickable. There's no page that it leads to.
In time.
In time. So, moving into 2018, there's still a ton I want to do to the website. But the reality is I don't get as many visits to my website as what I do to my social media. Most people, I don't know that they really go to websites all that frequently anymore. People seem like they're more likely to go to Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr, you know?
I go to websites all the time.
Like websites for publishers, for comic publishers?
No, I don't really go to websites for comics.
Well, that's what I mean.
In general.
I'm not talking about going to Amazon or eBay or anything like that.
No, just like random websites to look at stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fine.
I don't really pursue things on social media.
Yeah, I know you're not a social media person. But in any case, I would say that's more of a success than not. But I am going to be working even more on it in 2018. Onto the social media. So when I was going into 2017, I knew I needed to revise the way I did social media quite a bit. I almost never post on there. And the thing about that is when you own a business and you don't do anything social media wise, you are throwing away free advertisement that could get you customers for $0 spent, right?
Yeah, just a little bit of time.
Right. But it actually takes a lot of time to create something that you think somebody's actually going to interact with. So going into it, I kind of narrowed it down to what social media sites did I really want to focus on the hardest, right? And what I came up with when I started out in 2017 was Instagram and YouTube. There are a lot of writers who seem to do really well on Twitter, but I cannot figure Twitter out. I just can't.
I don't get it. I think it's a ridiculous platform.
I have a Twitter and I post stuff on there, but my engagement is less on Twitter than it is anywhere else. And when I go on there, all of the comic creators just seem to be talking about politics all the time on there. So I don't know if it's really that good for selling your comics on, or if it's just good if you want to go on there and talk about the things that you're interested in that aren't comics. So that being said, going into 2017, I made a decision that I would post one thing every weekday on Instagram. And I've actually managed to do that with the exception of, if you add it all up in total, maybe 3 or 4 weeks worth. So all in all, I posted at least one thing a day every single day throughout 2017, except for on weekends. On weekends, I did post like pictures of the convention tables, things like that when I got a chance to do so. I was really experimenting around with what worked the best on Instagram. You know, like Instagram has a neat little thing where you can post a picture and then you can do several steps to it. So I can like post an image of a colorized lettered page, and then if someone scrolls to the right, you see the colored version, and then you scroll to the right and you see the inked version, and you scroll to the right and you see the penciled version, right? So you can actually show the multiple steps behind what it took to create that page, which is really cool. So I experimented around like, you know, did that work best? Did doing just one panel work best? If I do one panel, does it work best if I just post the panel, or does it work best if I post the panel with a descriptive border around it, you know, like a panel from Who Will Save the World that says Who Will Save the World and what panel and page number it is at the bottom, right? So I experimented around with a lot of that kind of stuff just to kind of see what gave the best engagement. Another reason I chose Instagram is because when I post something on Instagram, it auto-populates to Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. So it makes it so easy to not have to worry about posting things all the time to those 3 platforms. If I post something on Instagram and it's just automatically there, right?
One and done.
One and done, yeah. So YouTube, you can auto-populate all that stuff too. And I know that YouTube actually has the power to bring in the most fans at any of the social media sites. Everybody swears by Facebook, but people are on YouTube all the time. I think even more than Facebook to a large degree, you know?
I'm on YouTube all the time.
I am too.
I was just on there
I mean,
earlier.
like, I'm always on there listening to interviews or podcasts or, you know, whatever, right? And so in the beginning of 2017, I had like 4 videos on YouTube. And they were almost all trailers. Or actually, they might have all been trailers. And so one of the things I've been doing to just be able to have more stuff on YouTube is making videos of each of the podcasts and posting them on my channel. I don't have very high engagement on there yet, but it's something I can post, right? And so I think as of the recording of this, I have 26 or 27 different videos up now. So I've increased it by more than 20 in any case. Still a lot of work, and I'm still experimenting with a lot of different stuff that I can do on there. I previously mentioned in some of the other podcasts, I'm going to be doing commentary for El Bovine Muerte coming up. And that's going to be a YouTube thing. That's not going to be available anywhere else.
Different voices, you should do the commentary.
Different voices?
Yeah, like each one's a different voice.
I wasn't going to be reading the issue. I'm going to be giving commentary on the issue.
Yeah, you're just you change it up each time.
Oh. So when I'm talking about specific characters, I can use a different voice?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to be a voice actor on it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more fun that way.
Okay. That's fair. But I can really only do Golem and Stitch and Igor.
Well, that's all we get.
Okay.
Now the people are expecting it.
That's true. They are. Damn it. So, in any case, I'm experimenting around with different things that I can post on YouTube. And when I do the Chronicles Von Helsing and Ghost Assassin radio shows, I'm going to be posting those in more places than just YouTube, but those will be more content for YouTube as well. It took a while before I got things together to start posting on YouTube. Took over half of the year before I started being able to post things up. But once I got started posting, I posted at least 2 videos every single week. So I would say, overall, I still consider that as a success, even though moving into 2018, I really need to diversify the content and not just have it be just the podcast. So now on to the podcast. I've been wanting to start up a podcast since the night the Who Will Save the World Kickstarter ended. Because as it was ending, Alex, Robert's brother, had been trying to convince me to do a podcast for 2 years at that point?
I don't know. I didn't know you then.
Oh, okay. But he can never give me a theme that we need to do, right? And the only thing I wanted to podcast about was my business. Alex has all this recording equipment, and yet we're stuck doing this the cheapest way possible by recording it on my phone. The night that Who Will Save the World ended, Alex kept going on and on about how we should have been podcasting the last hour while the countdown was going on for it to end. I was like, that would have been a great idea, but we don't have a podcast, right?
That would have been a good idea.
And then things got pretty derailed, so it took years and years and years, and finally this year I decided, okay, it's just time to just start up a podcast, right? I'd had Darkslinger Mafia podcast, that name, in mind for several years. I knew I needed to co-host, and, I didn't know if you would want to do it on a weekly basis. So, thanks once again for actually doing this on a weekly basis.
As much as I can.
But I had talked to Ben Kreger to see if he knew any comic creators that would be good to be my co-host, right? And we ended up doing the Comic Collaborative, which started coming out before the Darkslinger Mafia podcast, and we were recording it before. It's not really that long of a story. There's not really much to it.
No.
All there is to it, really
it.
and truly, is that we have got about 8 of them recorded and 6 of them have aired. But we can't seem to find the time. It's not a personal thing. There's no problem between Ben and I. Ben and I talk through Facebook Messenger all the time. But we can't seem to find the time when I can record and he can record, right? Because he's got his kids, I've got my kids, and we just can't seem to make the time work out right. But we have got 6 of those posted, including one episode that was all interviews we did at the Rose City Comic Con, which I think is pretty cool. It became apparent to me, though, throughout the time period that we're recording these and posting them, that I needed to have another podcast going if I was actually going to have one come out on a weekly basis. So that's when the whole idea of going ahead and moving forward with this one started. Asked you if you wanted to do it. You came by. Pretty simplistic. This is our 11th or our 12th episode? It's our 12th episode.
I have no idea.
So this is our 12th episode.
I just
It'll
show
be airing. And so, so far we've been able to maintain a pretty good schedule on this. I gave a week off for Christmas, but with the exception of that, we have not missed a week. And in the meantime, my kids were bugging me to do a podcast with them. And so I started doing Kids Review Comics with them, and have so far posted 3 episodes of that up on YouTube. Those are quick and easy podcasts. They're 5 to 6 minutes long. They're about 10 to 12 minutes before I edit them down. but but they're 5 to 6 minutes long. And so that's part of the content I've added too. And I have the Comic Collaborative. All those episodes are up on YouTube as well. The podcast got up to a pretty bumpy start. I thought that was going to be a complete failure in 2017, but managed to turn it around, pivoted by, creating the other podcast. Comic Collaborative will still be airing new episodes in 2018, but it is going to be sporadic because it's just going to be whenever Ben and I both have time to actually record, and then when one of us actually has time to edit the thing. So I'd say all in all, so far, I would consider doing the podcast a success. Now moving into 2018, in addition to recording more, I want to look for more places to be posting them. The Comic Collaborative was posted on Podbean, and the Darkslinger Mafia podcast has been posted on the Darkslinger website and YouTube, and Kids Review Comics has only been on YouTube. So in 2018, I actually want to take a look at all the various places I can post podcasts, because there are tons of places, but that's all a time frame thing too. So I got to find the time to do that. But if I can just start by okay, here's a new place that I can do it, and start tossing them up there and just kind of add to it as weeks go on, then it'll come second nature to me, or maybe I can even figure out a way that I can auto-populate like I do when I post something on Instagram. If I post it here, does it go there as well?
Might be a little more complicated with these, but...
It might be, but I know there are some of them that offer that service if you pay like $12 a month. And honestly, it might be worth $12 a month. Because if I'm releasing, 4 or 5 of them a month, and I just post it in one place and it goes to all those places, I think that'd be worth $12 a month to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the social media, the podcast, and the website for 2017. You have anything to add to that?
Podcasts are coming along nicely. Can't say anything about social media. I mean, I barely use it.
Right.
And social media to me is just other people's opinions and pictures of their food and kids. I don't care about any of those things.
That's one of the things I love about Instagram. Not a lot of that on there.
Yeah, I guess I can see how there wouldn't be from the stuff I've seen.
My feed on Instagram, because you can choose who you follow and who you don't and all that. And I don't view it the same way I do Facebook, where everybody's friends and you're friends with your family and all that. I don't follow hardly any of my family on Instagram. Instead, it's all artists, because what I want to see when I load my Instagram feed is artwork. It would take a lot of work for somebody to write out a post and then transform it into an image to put on Instagram. If they need to say something that badly, I might just take the time to read it. But otherwise, you don't get bogged down with
their opinions.
With their opinions, but it's not really the opinions that bother me on Facebook so much as the bitching and the vague posting, where somebody's like, oh my god, something horrible happened in my life. Stay tuned, I'll reveal what it is next week or whatever, right? And it's like,
I honestly just don't care what people have to say.
I know.
I mean, if I cared, I'd be friends with them in real life.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I'm just like 50 years old though, so
yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah. So moving into 2018 though, I am going to be trying some programs that expedite the process of doing social media stuff. I know Hootsuite, for a flat fee per month, I can load up a certain amount of social media posts at like the beginning of the month, set the times and dates for them, and they'll just post at those times and dates.
That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, and I'd like to be able to do that, because even just choosing an Instagram thing to post, it can take a lot of time and it can take a lot of work. If I can just make all of them up in the beginning of the month, get it all ready and set up, and just know they're going to post, that's going to save me so much time. And then I'll just be adding things in once in a while, like, hey, I'm at a convention, here's some pictures I took, bam, post those up, But beyond and besides that, just have everything ready to go, have that marketing ready,
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'd definitely be able to do that. So I think probably the last thing I want to talk about is the blog. So moving into 2017, I did actually want to start writing on my blog more. It's actually a recurring goal of mine every single year. But the blog's not wholly necessary, because unless you're doing it every single day and you're writing a lot of content, you're not going to get that many readers on a blog these days. But for whatever reason, I always want to write more on my blog, and I just don't, right? I think when I looked at the amount of posts that I did in 2017, it was like 6.
I don't even think I read any blogs.
Yeah.
Are they
One of
still
the
a
things,
thing?
not really. Tumblr is kind of the blogs of today.
Well, I remember years ago, probably shit, at this point, it was like a decade ago. There was one blog, I guess you would call it a blog because it was on Tumblr. I just stumbled across at like 3 in the morning.
Uh huh.
And it was just this random girl because I was trying to look something up and I came across her thing.
Uh huh.
And I was like, oh, you got some decent stuff. And so I kept checking that out for a while, for like maybe a year.
Decent stuff sounds creepy with the way you just said it.
It
Explain a
was
little
just
bit
like
more.
random things of like sometimes they were stuff about different shows and
Oh, okay.
and it,
So she was giving you content you liked, in other words.
yeah, it was cool content. And then sometimes she visited these cool places and she'd put
Okay, so
pictures on
it's
there.
not like you were stalking her on Tumblr or anything.
No,
Like some sort of creepy weirdo.
I don't think so.
So,
I mean, I might have been, but
anyway, one of the things I wanted to do is because I do read a lot of comics. People are asking me all the time, like what I can recommend for that week or whatever. So one of the things I've been planning on doing in 2017 was actually posting about the comics I had recently read that I could recommend, right? So far I posted one of those. And I had written about half of another one. Never actually got around to posting it.
you didn't need that one anyways.
But I did actually manage to get something on my blog that I was quite excited for. Way back in 2008, I was doing interviews for a website. I could not even remotely tell you what the website's name is at this point. But they were a comic like news, interviews, reviews type website, right? And the guy had put a post out that he was looking for people to do interviews. At the time, I was looking for just any venue to get my name out there, right? So I'd contacted him, started doing interviews for him, and I conducted, I think, 5 or 6 of them, but only one of them ever actually saw posting. It's not print when it's on the website, right? So one of them was posted, and the others never were, and then the website was just gone one day, right? So apparently the guy thought he was going to make some money off the website, discovered he couldn't, and the site went away, right? But it was a fun process back in the time, and in ways doing those interviews kind of precursor for what I would do on this podcast and other podcasts. In that year, 2008, was the year that I had met Ty Wakefield and Benjamin Kreger, right? And at the time, Ben Kreger was still with Ty under Alternate Reality Comics, which was the comic company that Ty owned. 2008, I believe, prior to Captain Kier being released, I think it was Ty had only released his Alternate Reality Comics, little mini comics. So anyway, I had just made friends with these guys like 3 or 4 months prior to this, right? I had interviewed them through MySpace.
Whoa.
I know, right?
That's a dated reference.
But I remember that because we didn't use email back and forth. We were using MySpace Messenger. I had interviewed them through that to post to this website, but their interview, although it was completed, had never been posted, right? So I remembered this thing existing and had been periodically looking through my files looking for it for just years and years and years now, ever since Ty died. It was something that I had meant to post to my blog clear back then after that website went belly up, but I had lost where I'd saved it to and didn't have access to the computer anymore that I had used when I was on MySpace. The other day I was looking through a bunch of old files and I could not find this Ghost Assassin file from 2007, right? So I'm digging through like the oldest of old files that I have, and I'm going through these old flashcards. I can't even remember the last time that I actually used a flashcard, right? So I'm looking through all these old flashcards, and I find this one. It's got like 2 gigabytes of memory on it. And I'm like, this thing has to have it on there. Like, it's so small. And I put in, or no, it wasn't 2 gigabytes. It was like 512 megabytes. But anyway, that's not even consequential. I put it in, and it did have the Ghost Assassin file I was looking for on it. So, that's cool. But what was way cooler is I see this folder on it that says interviews, right? Click on it, and the interview I did with Ty and Ben was there. So it was pretty fucking cool to be able to see this interview that I did with my friend who's, now been deceased for many years, that we performed when we were just barely friends, clear back in 2008, right?
Yeah, I bet that was pretty cool.
It was. I was going to clean it up, but Ty had this weird thing where, like, he'd send me the press releases he wrote out and want to know my views on it, right? And I'd send it back to him all spell checked with all the spelling and grammatical errors fixed. And he'd get pissed. And he'd be like, I didn't ask you to fix the spelling errors. I'd be like, why? What? That's not what I wanted you to do. I just wanted to know how it sounded. I'm like, why wouldn't you want the spelling errors fixed? That's how people talk. Okay, and I have emails to prove this.
If you have that all, you should just, and you're gonna release any of it. Exactly.
I'm not gonna release emails between us. It was just funny that he would always tell me that I couldn't correct the spelling. That was how people talk. But anyway, I thought for about 5 seconds of correcting the spelling and grammatical usage in this interview before I posted it. But then I thought better of it because I remembered these emails I got from Ty that said it was how people talked, and so I decided to just leave him in there because it's what he would have wanted. And I posted that on the blog today. I don't know how many people it'll mean something to, but that doesn't matter to me. It meant something to me to be able to find it. And I was glad I finally did after all these years.
Yeah,
it's been 9 years since we conducted it, and I finally found it, and so I posted it, and Ty's wife got to see it. That made me happy.
I bet that was cool.
I thought that was a good way to end 2017.
Yeah. Nice throwback.
Yeah. So it took me a couple days to format it because I wanted to kind of carefully select which pictures I wanted to use with it, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a nice throwback. I'm sure Ben enjoyed it too. That's what I accomplished, what I didn't in 2017,
and things to look forward to.
Some of the things to look forward to.
Many more.
Yeah. In our next podcast, we're going to be delving into the Ghost Assassin Kickstarter. With any bit of luck, it's going to be a whole lot closer to being ready to launch in our next podcast.
Every day it's a little bit closer.
Every day is getting a lot closer. Hopefully we'll be talking about that, talking about some of the behind the scenes of what goes into a Kickstarter. So this is going to be the first one I'm running this year. I'm planning on several. I'm only going to talk just really briefly about one of the others is going to be. So the one Chronicles Von Helsing thing I did besides the glass this year that I was kind of sort of looking for was every colorist who contacted me, I'd send them a couple of pages from it to give as a submission. But every single one of them that turned something in, while there were some phenomenally colored pieces, they just didn't work. I told people, they need to keep it very flat. I'd showed them Who Will Save the World and said, it's this kind of coloring needs to be on these pages. And without fail, every person who took a stab at it sent me back coloring that was phenomenal, but looked like it was more made for Ghost Assassin than Chronicles Von Helsing. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't the right look.
Exactly. My experience with coloring to date has only been just doing color corrections. Like when I get something back and I see that something's the wrong color or something like that. Once in a while, instead of making the colorist redo it, I'll just fix it if it's a really easy, quick fix. So I really and truly had no clue that coloring was something I could even remotely do, right? But there was a day that the power was out for about 3 hours, but the laptop had a full charge. So I was just screwing around with things, and I was actually looking for Chronicles Von Helsing images to post on the website. For whatever reason, I just started coloring one of them, right? Found out that the best colorist for that book might in fact actually be me. So I'm going to color up about 5 or 6 pages worth before I really decide that I'm the right colorist, because it might just be a fluke that this one page looks as good as it does. But whatever the case, after seeing this, I've definitely decided Chronicles Von Helsing needs to be colored. After it is, one of the Kickstarters that I'm planning on running is going to be for a hardcover collection.
In color.
In color. So it'd be Chronicles Von Helsing shown in color for the very first time in a hardcover edition.
That'd be cool. I like the hardcover.
I do too.
And I think it'll look
I will
really
not
good
be
in
coloring
color.
Tony's pages though. I'm hoping that maybe Tony wants to color his pages. If he doesn't, that particular story might have to stay just black and white because I really, really like Tony coloring his work. And I don't know if I would like anybody else coloring his work quite as much as I like him coloring his work.
But what if he doesn't want to color it?
I don't know. But whatever the case, I'm not coloring it. So
I'll color it.
You'll color it.
Yeah,
You get
give-
out some crayons.
Yeah, give me that 64 box. I'll get it.
So that's something to look forward to as well.
Oh, the plans of 2018.
I know, right?
There are so many.
There are so many, and we'll be delving into more and more of those as the year goes on. So next time we will be discussing the Ghost Assassin Kickstarter, and hopefully, with any bit of luck, we'll have a con announcement or two.
I'm looking forward to it.
So until then, I'm Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
Thank you for listening.